Hi, I'm Ron Davis, and on behalf of the National Burglar and Fire Alarm Association, I'd like to welcome you to our latest session where we're talking with Kerry Egan. And I'm going to do something on camera I have never done before. I'm going to promote Kerry to President of Select Security rather than just Vice President, because I think it's going to happen pretty soon anyway, so we might as well do it right now. Are you okay with that, Kerry?
I'm okay with that, Ron.
All right. Kerry's also the daughter of Pat Egan, who is a name that everybody should recognize in this industry because, frankly, everybody in the industry, to one degree or another, owes Pat something. He was a former president of the National Burglar and Fire Alarm Association, former president of the Central Station Alarm Association, former president of just about everything in the world except the United States, and I suspect if he ran, he'd win that too. Hey, what's it like working with a guy like your father and knowing that he's as well known and people feel very strongly about him to begin with? Tell me what that was all about.
It can be very challenging, scary actually, when you know that you have to live up to a guy like Pat. Coming to some of these industry events when he's not here, one of the biggest challenges for me is to remember everybody, the faces and the names, because growing up in it, I've been attending these events since I was just a kid, like we spoke about. So a lot of times I know the faces, but I don't know the names and the company names and things like that. And Pat seems to remember everything.
He never forgets, as far as I know.
So I try and learn that skill from him and the networking side of it. But he's always a driving force, and he never lets you rest.
And that's a fact. Tell me about Select Security. How long has it been around, and what is it you guys are doing?
Select is, in a true Pat fashion, in an acquisition mode right now. We did 5 acquisitions in 2008.
Okay.
Closing our last one on December 31st.
That must have been a challenge.
It was fun. Some of the employees had New Year's Eve plans, they thought.
And that must have changed.
Yeah, so we're heading into 2009 already with our first under agreement. And Pat is just in the build mode right now. Thought that he would probably retire in about 5 years, but as that 63-year number comes closer, he keeps extending it. So. Oh,
and he'll keep doing that probably as long as he lives. He's not going to retire. He's like an old war horse. He just comes out every time the siren sounds. Now, what do you do on a daily basis? Do you run the company? Do you run the central station?
Probably about 60% of my time is geared towards security partners, and security partners is the monitoring side of the business. However, I'd say about 40% I'm still involved in operational issues with Select Security. A lot of times that's just answering an email, pointing somebody in the right direction. With the acquisitions, one of the first serious positions that I held at Commonwealth was being part of the acquisitions due diligence teams. So I had a little bit of experience in that, and Select Security is a younger company as far as the experience coming from within the alarm industry. There's not that much there, so we're kind of building that up right now. So I kind of, I guess, mentor to some of the current managers on the Select side on some of the operational issues that they may have not experienced.
Commonwealth was?
Commonwealth Security was the first security company that Pat started in 1972, I believe. And he grew that to, I think he was SDM 30th largest in 1996. And Pat sold to Republic Industries in 1997. And at that point, he had, I think it was 11 branch offices throughout the Mid-Atlantic region.
Fairly significant.
30,000 subscribers. So
that was big.
That was
and
big
where
for them.
are you now in your growth?
Select is just under 5,000 subscribers at this point, and Select started in 2003.
Okay, and what is your plans for the next couple of years? Grow through organically, or grow through acquisition, or a combination?
I'd say a combination. With Pat, organic growth's never fast enough, so.
He wants it yesterday, right?
So
okay.
We have a nice footprint right now throughout central Pennsylvania.
And what are your personal plans in growing the company? Do you want to run it?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And do you feel you're equipped to do it?
Through the organizations and things like Young Security Professionals group that we may be renaming, but and getting involved in the NBFAA and CSA, I'm looking to get some additional training.
Now, if you were giving advice to somebody who is working in a family business, and the patriarch of the family was possibly a little volatile, how would you advise that person in dealing with that? How do you think they might want to handle that particular aspect of a relationship with a parent?
Well, I think that it changes every day. The only thing that I could recommend is just try and focus on your own personal emotional intelligence. It's a whole different game when mom and dad are also the bosses and everything else, and you really need to be prepared for that and not let that weigh on you when you're making business decisions.
If you were talking to somebody just coming into the industry and they would say to you, well, Kerry, tell me what I can do to prepare myself to be the best I could be, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to get involved. Get involved in the local organizations, whether it's, for me, myself being from Pennsylvania, that's the NBFAA, and then also with the national organizations.
Why get involved?
The value of the networking with colleagues that have already been through some of those situations, you can't really do without it. It'll take you coming into the industry and not participating and not meeting the key players. It'll take you, I would say, at least 3 times the amount of effort to learn things that these people will be more than willing to help you out with.
What would you advise somebody to avoid in coming into this industry?
I hear every week there are people getting into the industry and they have no idea what errors and omissions insurance is. The scariest thing that I've heard with people coming into the industry is they really don't understand the risk that they're at.
Is it worth it to spend a lot of money with a lawyer to get a contract made up?
Absolutely. Without a contract and a proper contract, you can have as much rate as you want, but it's not going to be worth anything to the next guy. So the other thing that I would say is when you are going into business, you want to always be prepared to go out of business and be ready to sell. And without a good contract, you're not going to be as attractive to a potential buyer.
You're talking about an exit strategy. When you go into a business, you need to be prepared to go out of business. Why is that? Why do you say that?
A lot of startup companies will, number one, not have the right insurance. So, big one, get the right insurance, call the local organizations, and they'll point you in the right direction. Security Risk of America, obviously, the big one. And the other thing is spend the money for the lawyers and get ready. The other thing that people often forget, especially startup companies, is you need to make sure that your accounts are protected. And working with a central station that is going to provide you some guidance, give you your own receiver lines, things that you can control, are extremely important. Otherwise, like I said, when a potential buyer comes in, they're likely to walk away from you if you don't have the right contract and if you don't have control over your accounts.
Kerry, we appreciate your being here. We appreciate sharing the wisdom. Say hi to your mom and dad for me. And
hi, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, and it's great having you as a guest here today.
It's great to see you, Ron.
Take care.
You.